You're Locked On NHL, your daily podcast on the National Hockey League. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi there, everyone. Erica L. Ayala, your host of Locked On Kraken and also host of the Women's Hockey Spotlight here on Locked On NHL. Now, we have a lot of cool things to talk about when it comes to women's hockey, specifically the Professional Women's Hockey League, PWHL, including that two of the franchises will be relocating to new arenas. The PWHL Toronto team played their games, the majority of their games, at Mattamy Ice Center, historic venue in Toronto, very beautiful, but very limited when it comes to seating. Now, they are going to be moving to the Coca-Cola Coliseum. PWHL Toronto General Manager Gina Kingsbury said in the press release, "We look forward to creating an atmosphere that will be a unique and special sporting experience unlike anything else in Toronto." And the Coca-Cola Coliseum is where the AHL team for the Toronto Maple Leafs, the Marlies, that's where they play. So this should be an increase in the ability, at least, to have more fans in the stands. Mattamy was by far one of the smallest venues in the PWHL last season. It was also announced that PWHL Montreal, we just talked about Toronto, will play at Place Bell, and it will be their primary home next season. They played 6 times in Laval, Quebec last season, and the majority of their games were held at the Verdun Auditorium, which is a suburb of Montreal. Place Bell is also the home of an AHL team, the Laval Rockets, and that is the affiliate of the Montreal Canadiens. The capacity is about 10,000, so definitely gets the PWHL much closer to roughly what they were averaging in attendance last season. So those are pretty good moves when it comes to being able to grow the game. Now, what we haven't heard yet is where the PWHL New York team will play. They also split some time, including kind of ending their season in New Jersey, which quite honestly, I think was probably their best venue, just given the landscape in the area. But we're still waiting to see if and when they have an announcement regarding where they're going to play and how that might impact their ability to sell out the arena. I also want to talk about PWHL Minnesota. They announced Melissa Caruso will take the role of general manager. Also an AHL connection, Caruso was with the AHL for the last 15 seasons, most recently as the Vice President of Hockey Operations and Governance. Melissa's strong background in operations and governance, combined with her extensive hockey knowledge and leadership experience, make her a great fit for the role, Jana Hefford, PWHL Senior VP of Hockey Operations, said in the press release. Now, what we also saw reported is that Ken Klee will remain head coach. And the reason that might be a little bit controversial, especially for PWHL Minnesota fans who got to celebrate a championship and then quickly were disgruntled about the dismissal of who will now be Hockey Hall of Famer Natalie Darwitz. There was a little bit of tension and a lot of things reported and allegations that Ken Klee, who served as the head coach on the back end of last season, was perhaps a little bit inappropriate with some of the comments, nicknames, things of that nature. We've talked about this on Women's Hockey Spotlight before. So as of right now, there is, it would appear, no change in the head coach. Although, again, there have been reports and allegations that Ken Klee made PWHL Minnesota a very toxic place, and that Natalie Darwitz was one of the people standing up for the players who, again, were alleging some just inappropriate or unprofessional conduct and language used by Ken Klee. So we'll see if and where that goes anywhere when it comes to the PWHL Minnesota team. Now, I also want to go over to USA Hockey because they announced their Hall of Fame their Hall of Fame honorees when it comes to their most recent class, the class of 2024. Brianna Decker, Olympic champion Brie Decker, and alongside a few other players, all men, so most of them coming from the NHL side of things. Brianna Decker helped the U.S. win gold in South Korea in 2018 and was part of the silver medal teams in 2014 in Sochi and 2022 before she had a very disastrous injury. She broke her leg early in the 2022 tournament, Beijing, and we really haven't seen Brie Deck since. And it was a broken leg, several torn ligaments. And, Brie Decker, for me, has got to be, I know we talked about Amanda Kessel before, but before Amanda Kessel, there was Brianna Decker. And I know a lot of people know about Hillary Knight, but Decker played right alongside Hillary Knight. A lot of the accolades that Knight has, Decker also has. And for my money, Brianna Decker is probably one of the best centers that we've ever seen for USA hockey on the women's side. She was a part of 6 world championship titles. She was MVP and leading scorer once in her career at the international level. She went to Wisconsin, where she led the team to a national title in 2011. She did play in the NWHL and won a championship, the first ever, the inaugural season, with the Boston Pride, and was MVP of that tournament as well. So stick taps to Brie Dex on what has been an amazing career, and congratulations on being tapped to the US Hockey Hall of Fame class of 2024. Before signing off, I want to give some stick taps also to an amazing writer, an amazing advocate for women in hockey, and someone that I like to call colleague and friend. That is Dan Rice, stepping away from hockey reporting after 20 plus years of writing in the New Jersey area, the metropolitan area, if you will. He has been a huge champion, as I said, for women's hockey, and is stepping away just to do other things. For those who don't know, it is very difficult to make it in sports media in the hockey landscape, and even more specifically, the women's hockey landscape. So thank you, Dan, for everything that you've done. Thank you for always being a good friend to me. It's been an honor to work in scrums and on broadcasts with you, and I wish you the best in all the things that you have, all that free time that you're going to have. That's our Women's Hockey Spotlight. Again, my name is Erica L. Ayala, your host of the Women's Hockey Spotlight, and of course, Locked on Kraken. And we will catch you for our next Spotlight in another 2 weeks.